Steph Curry was seen ripping his jersey after the 1-point loss in double overtime to the Los Angeles Lakers over the weekend. He was visibly frustrated with not only the loss, but perhaps with how the Warriors have been playing time and time again. So, if you feel that Steph Curry ripping his jersey in half is pretty relatable with how the Warriors have been playing, and you're just dying for something to happen, well, go on ahead and like this video. There was one good thing to come out of the 1-point loss to the Lakers, with the fact that Steve Kerr says that he thinks he finally found a starting five he wants to continue with. Well, Steve Kerr, it only took you 40-plus games. Congratulations. On the second half of this video, there has been new reports from Shams of The Athletic saying that 3 Golden State Warriors could be on the trade market very soon, within 2 weeks left within the trade deadline. You're going to want to stick around to find out who those 3 targets are that the Golden State Warriors are looking to get rid of. But first, I do want to break down that starting lineup versus the Lakers. Of course, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson and Steph Curry have been starting for the Golden State Warriors pretty much this entire season. Curry popped off at 46 points. He had 9 3-pointers made. Klay Thompson, 24 points, which isn't terrible, but through 40-plus minutes a game, you'd think that'd be a little bit better for somebody like Klay Thompson. Andrew Wiggins and Jonathan Kuminga started together. Why? Because Steve Kerr believes that Draymond Green is the common factor between these two players who haven't been historically very great together on the court. They each had 22 points. Draymond, unfortunately, only had 8 points, but he did have nearly 15 rebounds. So this was Draymond Green's first start in the Warriors lineup since returning from his suspension. And Steve Kerr pretty much said, look, he's been playing 30-plus minutes a night, so I think he's ready to be back in the starting lineup. But then he said after the game that he plans to continue with Green at the 5, not Looney, not Dario, alongside Kuminga and Wiggins to round out the front court. Said it allowed them to cover more ground defensively, especially with how high volume scoring and has been around the league lately. He also noted it's a part of Green's playmaking. Is 15 rebounds fantastic against the Lakers? Absolutely. Does he really help Andrew Wiggins and Jonathan Kuminga play together? Well, their plus minus says so. But let's go on ahead and hear what Steve Kerr had to say about his lineup decision. He said, look, we're in a position now with Wiggs playing at a high level and JK having come around. Klay, Steph, Draymond back after the suspension. We're in a position where we can put those guys together, and it's probably our best 5. So we want to maximize the number of possessions they have together. I don't necessarily agree with everything Steve Kerr had to say there, and I'll get into that more towards the end of this video. But overall, you've played over 40 games now. You've used 15 different lineups. And now you suddenly have found the lineup that works with players you've had majority of the season, except for Draymond Green. But I'm just a little confused here because the last I heard, you've been trying to trade Wiggins away. But now he's going to be in your starting 5. I'm just not understanding where Steve Kerr is going with his starting lineup and if Wiggins is really the answer. But you know what? Kudos to you, Steve Kerr, for finally understanding what works for your team 40-plus games into the season. Overall, how do you guys feel about this lineup? I'm not surprised to see the trio who has been in there. We've seen over 15 different lineups. Comment why you like this starting 5 or why not. Because look, Brandon Podziemski stepped up since Chris Paul has been out. We've seen Jonathan Kuminga sit, start. Let me know how you guys feel about Steve Kerr's finally decided starting 5. The Warriors are now officially 6 games out of the 6th seed in the Western Conference. They're still 12th. They're 19-24. They had 2 back-to-back games with 1-point losses. And that's where the frustration comes from of Steph Curry's jersey ripping. And that's where I know a lot of Dub Nation is frustrated because it's 1 point. It truly does feel like the Warriors are on a brink of turning their season around, and they have been dealt with so many internal and external factors. But I truly think it comes down to this point. Mike Dunleavy and Steve Kerr are horribly lost. Dunleavy does not know who to trade away. He said last week he's still evaluating his team. The trade deadline is February 8th, and you still don't know who you want to acquire. Steve Kerr just found out what starting lineup works for them. They're completely lost with handling this group of guys. Why build a lineup around a player you've been actively trying to trade away? But you know what? I have an answer for that. And you guys are going to want to stay for this in part 2 of this video, because first, I do want to tell you guys about Prize Picks, the #1 daily fantasy sports app in America's phone, in my phone, in Smitty's phone, and everybody in Chat Sports' phone. And here's why. It's just overall extremely exciting to play. Take it from me, I never put money down on games. I never understood it. I never won anything. I have won over 15 picks on Prize Picks, and you can actually win real money in real time. The best part is it's super easy. All you have to do is pick between 2 to 6 players and just pick more or less on their projected stats. And what's even better about Prize Picks right now for the NBA and the NFL, they've got a nice promo here of Demons and Goblins. The Demons are the little red guys, harder picks, but the payout can be up to 100 times more. The Green Goblins, a little bit easier of a pick, not as much of a payout, but nonetheless, I have OG Anunoby having more than 24.5 points. He's been popping off for the New York Knicks. Jared Allen to have more than 8.5 rebounds. You'd expect that from the Cavaliers big. But then I had Damian Lillard just having less. So even if you don't want to do a Demon or a Goblin, they still have normal picks, but I'm going to go Damian Lillard less than 8 3-point shots attempted. These are my picks, but I want to see yours. All you guys have to do is go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Be sure to use that promo code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100, and you could watch yourself win some real money in real time. Evan Sidery did tweet this out per Shams Charania of The Athletic, saying the Warriors plan to gauge the trade market for Andrew Wiggins and Chris Paul. Klay Thompson is also a candidate for Golden State to openly take calls to see what they could receive in a potential deal. This is not surprising to me. Why? Because Klay Thompson does not have an extension with the Golden State Warriors. Klay Thompson will be a free agent the minute that the season is over. So why would you not openly take calls right now to see what you could get for the player that may or may not be on the Warriors next season? That's not really big news to me. I'm going to break down the big news in just a few moments, but I do want to talk about the big salaries here. If you were to trade away all 3 of these players, you would be clearing up $43 million, $30.8 million, $24.3 million. Smitty's right here. He's fantastic at mental math. How much would you say you're clearing up in total from these 3 players? Nearly $100 million cleared up from these 3 players, so I would absolutely be taking calls here. But to be honest, Klay is really the only player with any value left out of these 3 guys. Chris Paul, he's been an amazing basketball player, the formerly known point guard, but he's had injuries. Currently, right now, with 15 pins and a metal plate in his hand. Andrew Wiggins, the former NBA All-Star, is a shell of himself. Klay Thompson is too, but he's still got a little bit more gas left in the tank, and I truly think multiple teams will be calling for Klay Thompson. Something else that was pretty interesting to me is that they already tried to get rid of Chris Paul before his injury. Chris Paul, they wanted to give away to the Raptors to get Pascal Siakam. But of course, as you guys know, Siakam didn't want to come to Golden State. So who's going to want Chris Paul and Wiggins, especially when you want to take a bigger look at Wiggins' play? Here's why I think they cannot trade away Andrew Wiggins is because nobody wants him. This is fantastic breakdown data analysis showing that Andrew Wiggins is in the bottom 10 players that are averaging more than 20 minutes per game in his plus minus. He is minus 4.2 right now. That is horrible for Andrew Wiggins. And look at all the names that are currently surrounding him. They're all bench players. The only name I recognize is John Conchar, and that's just because he's been big in the trade talks right now. Everybody else I don't think is a starter, even on their respective team. So why is Andrew Wiggins with a minus 4.2? He's not doing well for the Warriors right now, and he's in the bottom 10 of players averaging more than 20 minutes per game. And what's worse is that Wiggins is on his first year of his 4-year, $109 million contract. That is a huge load for another team to take. So why do I think Steve Kerr and Mike Dunleavy are crafting a starting 5 around Andrew Wiggins? Is because they're going to have to keep Wiggins. I do not see him leaving the Warriors unless you attach a big name like Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, or Klay Thompson a part of that deal. There is no value with Andrew Wiggins in the trade market right now. So if you can't get rid of him, why not learn how to keep him, which is where Draymond Green fits into the starting five with Jonathan Kuminga. Going back to Klay Thompson really quick to end out those three big trade candidates for the Golden State Warriors, I truly do think the Golden State Warriors' smartest move here would be to just ride out the rest of the year and just part ways with him when he hits free agency, just because he has been such a historic piece of the Warriors franchise in the last decade. I think a trade just might not sit well with a lot of their fan base, and it might turn off a lot of fans. You guys can let me know. But here's what Anthony Slater had to say about their trade. Of course, he is an insider for the Warriors. He said, "I think they're going to keep Thompson around because of what he means historically to this franchise. And the number will be dictated by the market. If there are other teams out there willing to bump his number to a level the Warriors previously haven't been willing to go, then maybe they'll go to that number." I truly think there are multiple teams that will at least explore Klay Thompson, but with a $40.3 million contract, and he's going to be a free agent in the summer, I don't see a lot of teams exercising their biggest needs and desires in this trade. But overall, these are the three Warriors that have been reported to be on the chopping block. If you had to get rid of one of them, pick somebody to trade. Type AW for Andrew Wiggins, type CP for Chris Paul, or type KT for Klay Thompson. And look, it's just halfway through this season. There's still a lot of ball left to play. A trade could turn things around, or as Mike Dunleavy said, it could happen internally. So, like this video if you love the Dubs. Like this video if you want the Warriors to turn things around. And just like this video if you're just proud to be a Golden State Warrior fan.